Hi, Steve.
Keith?
Can I start firstly with your reaction to the draw for the last 8, please?
Well, I mean, it's given us a wonderful opportunity, that's for sure, against a very, very good Brentford side. It won't be easy, that's for sure. None of them are. But, you know, we've got to be pleased with the draw when you see the big names who are in there, who we've avoided. But make no mistake, Brentford are a very good side, as we've just seen yesterday. I watched them play against Fulham yesterday. They were absolutely, and over the last few years, I've got a certain model. They've built the stadium, the seller player, and they bring one in, and it just seems to have been seamless in the way they've gone about their work. It's all credit to them. They've done fantastically well, but a wonderful opportunity for us. But make no mistake, it'll be a difficult game, but a great chance.
In terms of the transfer window, Steve, just a couple of days to go. You'll be pleased. We'll stop asking you these questions. How busy do you expect? Game aside, take the Burnley game aside. How busy do you expect the weekend to be?
I don't expect to be that busy. If something comes available, then of course we will act. But we went to work and made sure that our work was done before the season started. You know, the 4 or 5 players we've brought in, we all brought in without this hectic scramble at the end of it. However, if a good player who can make a difference to us becomes available on loan, then we'll look at it. But as we stand at the minute, I don't expect to be busy. We still have to let a few people leave this building and the club, and we'll see what develops.
You mentioned loan there, Steve. Are you ruling out any further transfer fees being spent?
Yeah, I'm ruling that out. Yes.
I suppose what the club have shown, though, with the arrival of the 3 players who arrived within a week, is that they can do business quickly if they need to.
Yeah, I mean, we made a big conscious effort that it would be, you know, there was no pre-season to get them all bedded in. But the more they're here, for example, now they couldn't have had a more difficult start. We've had 7 games in 21 days. So, you know, we've rotated the squad. They've got to know the squad. So we made a conscious effort to try and get them in before the season started. And for me, that's the best way. Of course, there's going to be a scramble. We'll always see it. But as deadline approaches, we'll see it. But I don't expect to be busy at all.
Do you feel as though that you've got value for money? I'm just looking in the last 24 hours, Godfrey going from Norwich to Everton, 26 rising to 30. It looks like Brewster's at Sheffield United today for, I think it's 24. When you see what you've spent, do you feel like for British-based players, do you feel you've got value for money?
Well, it just shows you how difficult it is in these difficult times too. It just shows you the value of a British player, young player, if you like. The transfer fees have long gone through the roof. That we're all scratch our head, even in the financial world we find ourselves at the minute. Some of the fees that you pay, we're very, very pleased with what we've done. Now the big key to it is getting them settled into the new club, playing regularly, playing well, and improving Newcastle. Proof's in the pudding. But I'm very, very pleased with what we've done, and I'm sure they'll do very, very well.
Are you any closer to getting anyone out the door, Steve?
There's 1 or 2 things bubbling, but we'll see.
How's Alan St Maximin for the weekend?
He looks as if he could be fit. A big day for him today, but he's trained all week, and we decided not to risk him against Newport. So we hope Alan is as well. He's got over his ankle injury, and we're glad to see him back.
And everything okay with Matt Ritchie's operation?
Yeah, I believe so. I think everything went smoothly. So I haven't heard anything else, but certainly I'll find out. I'm seeing me doctor at 10:30, unfortunately, Keith. So until I get that, I'll not be able to know. But watch the website.
All right, I hope you're okay then if you've seen the doctor. Just last one from me. We had Ryan Mason on Sky Sports News the other day just talking about the issue with the handball rule. And obviously you guys were involved at the sharp end at Spurs last weekend. He said, and he's obviously had to retire early due to injury. What he said is he's worried for the safety of players moving forward. if they're unable to defend themselves, if they're not able to jump using their arms, and he feels it might be an issue for that. As a former centre back yourself, is that something that you can see being an issue?
Well, here's the big raging debate, of course, Keith. It's very difficult to jump without your arms up. If you look at a high jumper, the first thing they put up first is their arm to get the elevation of what you need. So it's a natural thing that your arms are up. And of course, if your arms are up, then of course the reason why my face is like it is that you're going to catch an elbow or two, or a forearm, or a clash of heads, or wherever it is. It is part of the contact. And so, look, I think the handball thing in particular, I think the Premier League looks as if they've addressed it. We're going to still have some grey areas, but we're not going to get the hideous decisions, which unfortunately has plagued us for the last couple of weeks. So that can only be a good thing. As for I can understand when Ryan had such an awful head injury, then of course there's always a worry. There's always a worry in that respect, and that's always going to be the case because it is a contact sport. Which, especially when you're threatened from a corner, set piece, there's contact and people are trying to head it.
Thanks, Keith. Vicky Sparks.
Hi, Steve.
Vicky, how are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. How are you?
I'm okay, thanks.
Just going back quickly to team news, apart from the long-term absentees, any other issues ahead of the Burnley game?
Jamal and Emil Kraft are a bit of a problem. We'll see how they are again today. They are my concerns because defensively, Fab Shah is okay. He played for half an hour the other night, which is good news. He's really ahead of schedule, so delighted that we've got him back. So, but defensively, we're still a bit light with Dummy and Kieran Clark, and with Emil and Jamal thrown into the mix. Then that leaves us a little bit light in that department.
We spoke about it a couple of weeks ago, but I guess it's about, at this moment, trying to build that consistency in performance as well as result, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I've made no secret of the fact that 6 times out of 7 the games we've played, we've gone to a back 4 and played 2 up top, either as 2 centre forwards or one off the front, if you like, if that's the modern way of putting it. So, we are in the middle of change, and it will take a bit of time, and of course that's what we're trying to put into place. Now, when you do change, then unfortunately you're going to get a few inconsistencies, but it's been levelled that there's no direction. Well, hang on a minute, I've played the same formation in 6 of the 7 games we've played so far, so I don't know what the problem is there. Look, we haven't played well enough, I'll grant you that. But this thing of tactics and no direction and all the rest of it, somehow I feel as if it's not balanced and it's not right. Now, if somebody wants to pull me on that and question me on it, then I'll quite rightly have the conversation. But it's pretty obvious, I would have thought, that if you watched us over the last seven games, yes, we reverted back to a back 3 against Spurs, but the other 6 games, we've tried to change, tried to play with the back 4, tried to play with one up and one off the front, if that's the way you want to put it, and have a bit of pace in a wide area. That's what we're trying to achieve. Now, I hope that's pretty evident for everybody to see. I grant you one thing. We haven't played well enough on a couple of occasions. Okay, but let's not dissect it and be the way we are, because there has to have a balance to all this. And I hope that we can keep moving forward with it. It will take a bit of time, but that's the way I want to go. I've always said that's the way I want to go, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
In terms of Burnley, obviously always a tough side to come up against under Sean Dyche.
Yeah, I mean, you know what's coming. And there goes, Dyche's got his identity, and I'm a big admirer of his, of what he's done, what he's achieved. There's different ways to play football, and he plays 2 up top, 2 big physical centre forwards, where they're a bit direct, play off the front, and ask you the question constantly. And have been very successful at it. So we know what to expect. Let's hope we can overcome it and get a good result. And if we can get a result and win, would probably take us in the top 6 and a quarter final of a cup competition. And we can go into the break then thinking we've done okay. We haven't played well enough at times, but we've stuck at it and got a few results.
And I guess what you were touching on earlier, he has developed that style at Burnley. He's had the time to do that, and he is now synonymous with the way that club plays.
Yeah, I mean, look, we all need time. It took a great manager like Jurgen a few years to get what you need. Every manager needs time, of course, because nowadays you can't just change it overnight. It's transfer windows, so you only get one or two opportunities, and especially now with what's gone on in the world, it's very, very difficult. So, look, it's still work in progress. I know that sounds easy for me to say, but that's what it is. And we are in the middle of change, because I'm trying to change us from a team that plays a back 5 in sitting deep into a more forward-thinking back 4 and playing from there.
And just finally from me, Jeff Hendrick, obviously potentially coming up against his old club. I know a player that Sean would have liked to have kept hold of.
Well, I can understand that too. He's a very, very good player, the kid, and he'd be a valuable addition to us, can play in numerous positions. Great pro, really good lad, and we're delighted to have him on board. I'm sure Sean will miss him because obviously he's a very good player.
Thanks, Vicky. Don Thewlis?
Hi, Lee. Can you just confirm that our hub is recording?
You've had it on the entire time, Don, but I'm recording at your end.
I can't see that at my end, so that's great. Hi, Steve. Sorry to talk technical stuff.
Better tactics.
Well, you're right. You're absolutely right. Do you sometimes feel like you can't win with all this criticism, whatever you do? Sometimes,
Dawn, yes. And you don't mind criticism as long as it's balanced. For example, we had 27 attempts at their goal the other night. We didn't play that well in the first half, 40 minutes, maybe an hour. But we had 27 attempts, 10 on target. Now, we didn't take one of them chances. So the longer it goes, then it becomes a bit more frustrating. But we deserved, in my opinion, to win the match. We win 7-0. We win 7-0 and we're centre forward get criticised for missing a chance. So I try to look for a balance and keep it balanced. I understand when you don't play well or you don't win, then of course there's going to be criticism. But sometimes you ask it to be a little bit more balanced than it is, and accept that you're going to get criticised. Of course, that's the nature of the job, especially these days. Whether the Newcastle manager or the Rochdale manager, that's the way it is.
We talked about Burnley and how physical a side they are. Do you think modern day teams like that rather less than perhaps you did in your day?
Well, there was a bit more in my day. Most teams played with 2 centre forwards in them days, and it was a bit more primitive, if that's the right word. Certainly a lot more physical. The game's changed so much now, and it's evolved into a different game altogether. But make no mistake, it is Sean's got his way of playing. They've done it very successfully. You don't see it very often these days. However, you have to take your hat off on the job he's done. It's never easy to play and stay in the Premier League, but Sean, they've done it magnificently well. And will cause a threat tomorrow, like they always do.
Do you think other teams relish that physical challenge because they know what they're going to get? Or do you think they think, oh, no, not this lot?
Well, yeah, you know what you're going to get. That's exactly right. So, it all depends what type of personality you are. And you hope that you've got a lot of players who can stand up to the physicality of it. If you don't stand up to their physicality, then you're going to get turned over. Pretty simple. So they're a threat at set pieces. They go from back to front. They pick up the second bits. All the stuff that we know what's coming. And it just shows you there's different ways to play football and how to win a football match. And Sean has done it very, very well.
Just briefly going back to the handball situation. What's your understanding now that referees are going to be looking for? Are they just going to be more flexible about each situation? What's your understanding?
Yes, they're a bit more flexible and a bit more common sense taken into it. Look, unfortunately, we're going to have still some decisions which are grey areas, but I don't think we're going to have the hideous one like we benefited from last week, or the one that went against Crystal Palace where Everton scored. So I think that is the right view to it. A bit more common sense coming into it. There's still this raging debate of where your arms are, and there lies a big problem because it's unnatural, to have your arms by your side when you're trying to play football. Usually your arms, especially when you're jumping for a ball, your arms are up because that's the way naturally you do it. So we're still going to have a few grey areas, but it looks as if a little bit more common sense has come to the situation, which can only help.
And not just jumping as well. I mean, they actually highlighted on Match of the Day last weekend a lot of the defenders defending with their arms behind their back. But I mean, that affects your balance, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous because if that player doesn't shoot and take a shot at goal, and then he'll waltz past you, because you're unbalanced. That is an unnatural position for your arms to be in. But players are trying to do it now because to get a block and put your body on the line used to be the thing to do. But now to try and do it with the arms behind your back, it's absolutely ridiculous, isn't it? Really. So it's a difficult situation.
Okay, thanks, broadcasters. Written titles, if you can use the raise hand function, we'll be right back with you. Thanks.